There's something that could be lurking completely unseen in our homes and our yards. It's a parasite that specifically targets our cats. And because it's an invisible danger, it's one that every single cat owner really needs to know about.
So, what is it? We're talking about the hookworm, an intruder so incredibly small it's easily missed. But its impact? Well, its impact can be absolutely devastating, especially for the youngest and most vulnerable cats. So, what exactly is this microscopic menace? Let's pull back the curtain and get a much closer look.
Well, the name hookworm is pretty on the nose, actually. They literally have these sharp, hook-like mouth parts, and they use them to physically latch onto the wall of the intestine. And from there, they just start feeding on the cat's blood.
And when we say they're small, we really mean it. We're talking just half an inch long. That makes them nearly impossible to spot with the naked eye, which really solidifies their status as a truly invisible threat. It's a perfect analogy, really. You can honestly think of them as these tiny little vampires. This constant draining of blood is exactly what makes them so dangerous. They literally steal the life force from their host, one tiny drop at a time. Okay, so how on earth does a creature this small manage to get inside your cat in the first place? Well, it turns out they have a surprisingly clever invasion plan. They've got multiple routes of attack. A cat can get them just by walking through contaminated soil, or by grooming its fur, by hunting a mouse. And for kittens, it's even more heartbreaking. They can get it just by drinking their own mother's milk. This multi-pronged approach makes them incredibly effective invaders. And their life cycle is just unbelievably fast. Get this, within just 2 weeks of an infection, a single cat is already passing new eggs out into the environment. And those eggs, they can become infectious larvae in as little as 2 days. It's this rapid turnaround that explains how one little problem can spiral out of control so quickly. So if they're this tiny and the cycle is that fast, how would you even know if your cat is infected? Let's talk about the signs you really need to be watching out for. The key symptoms all come back to that blood loss we mentioned. You'll see things like diarrhea, weight loss, and just a general weakness or lethargy. Anemia, which is just a deficiency of red blood cells, is a classic textbook sign of a significant hookworm problem. Now, here's where it gets interesting. The severity of the infestation really depends on the cat's age. For young kittens, an acute infestation can be downright deadly. But in adult cats, something totally different happens. It often becomes this chronic, simmering issue where the cat becomes a silent carrier, sometimes showing no symptoms at all. In a really heavy infestation, the blood loss can get so bad that it visibly changes the cat's stool. I mean, we're talking about a dramatic and very dangerous sign here. And this, right here, is probably the most surprising and crucial part of this entire story. Your adult cat might look perfectly healthy. They could be active, eating well, everything seems fine. But they could be a silent carrier harboring these dormant larvae in their tissues, just waiting for a period of stress to trigger a new outbreak. And all the while, they could be unknowingly shedding eggs into the environment. Okay, I know, that all sounds pretty scary. But here's the good news. This is a beatable foe. So let's talk about the strategy for fighting back against the hookworm. Step 1 is a clear diagnosis. And thankfully, it's really straightforward. A veterinarian just needs to examine a stool sample under a microscope. They're looking for those very distinctive hookworm eggs. Simple as that. And once it's diagnosed, the treatment is incredibly effective. Vets have several safe deworming medications they can use. The standard protocol is usually 2 treatments, spaced about 2 weeks apart. And the reason for that is to make sure that they eliminate both the adult worms that are already in the intestine and any new worms that are maturing. We've focused a lot on our cats, but there's one final crucial piece to this puzzle. Does this parasite pose any kind of threat to the humans in the house? So here's the big question. Can you actually get these hookworms from your cat? The answer is, well, it's yes, but probably not in the way you might think. See, humans can get infected by the same larvae that are in the soil, just like cats can. When those larvae penetrate human skin, they cause a condition called cutaneous larva migrans. It even has a nickname, creeping eruption, which sounds about as pleasant as it is. The symptoms are pretty gnarly. You get this intense itching, lumps, and you can even see these visible streaks or tracks under the skin where the larvae are moving. It's definitely unpleasant, but thankfully the condition is what's called self-limiting. The larvae can't complete their life cycle in a human, so the infection eventually just dies out on its own.
Which brings us right back around to that silent carrier, and the most important question of all. Your cat looks perfectly healthy, but could they be spreading this parasite without anyone knowing? Regular vet checkups and fecal exams are literally the only way to know for sure. It's such a simple step to protect not just the pet you love, but your entire household.